Donald Trump has made history again.
This was a movement like nobody's ever seen before. And frankly, this was, I believe, the greatest political movement of all time. There's never been anything like this in this country, and maybe beyond. And now it's going to reach a new level of importance because we're going to help our country heal. We're going to help our country heal. We have a country that needs help, and it needs help very badly. We're going to fix our borders. We're going to fix everything about our country.
November 6th, 2024. This is a date that will go down in history, not only for Americans, but for people worldwide. Some predicted it, while others didn't see it coming. But here we are. Against all odds, Donald Trump has won the White House once again. To understand why Trump clinched the 2024 election, we need to dive deep into what I'm calling the policy versus personality contrast. This divide shaped the entire race and ultimately explains Trump's comeback. Let's break down how he won back the hearts of American voters. Please take a second to like and subscribe to our channel for more engaging content. Let's move on. On Wednesday, Donald Trump pulled off a historic feat by becoming the 47th president of the United States in a rare second term for a former president. The past 4 years since his 2020 defeat were turbulent for him, with allegations of inciting an insurrection, convictions on felony charges, and even surviving 2 assassination attempts. Yet none of these setbacks managed to dull his popularity. With a decisive win in Wisconsin, Trump secured the 270 electoral votes he needed to return to the presidency. And it wasn't just a win, it was a comeback. He didn't just repeat his 2020 performance. He outperformed it in nearly every state, while his opponent Kamala Harris fell short of Biden's numbers from 4 years ago. With the Senate also back in Republican hands, Trump is poised to hit the ground running, ready to push his agenda forward. In his victory speech, Trump didn't shy away from his bold promises. "We've been through so much together, and today you showed up in record numbers to deliver a victory. This was something special, and we're going to pay you back." When the campaign kicked off, many expected Kamala Harris to be the frontrunner. Trump's abrasive style and his tendency to attack his opponents, particularly Harris, rubbed many people the wrong way. His jabs were often seen as below the belt, even crossing lines into what critics called misogyny and racism. It seemed like every microphone Trump got hold of was an opportunity for him to create a viral moment, often at Harris' expense.
The Middle East, it's like a tinderbox. It's ready to explode. People are being killed at levels that we've never seen before. And that's taking place right now in Michigan. She is in literally a free fall. They've had it with her. Nobody's in charge. Joe Biden is asleep. Kamala is at a dance party with Beyonce.
On the other hand, Harris's campaign ran a more polished and poised operation aiming for widespread appeal. She had the support of American icons like Michelle Obama and Oprah Winfrey, who endorsed her enthusiastically. Harris embraced social media, using platforms like TikTok to engage younger voters and appearing on popular talk shows to reach a broad audience. Her strategy seemed smart and modern, a candidate in touch with the media-savvy generation.
Gosh, I wish I could talk to someone who's been in my shoes, you know? A black, South Asian woman running for president, preferably from the Bay Area.
You and me both, sister.
It is nice to see you, Kamala.
It is nice to see you, Kamala, and I'm just here to remind you, you got this. Because you can do something your opponent cannot do. You can open doors.
I want to tell you something. I'm going to vote for us.
Great. Any chance you are registered in Pennsylvania?
Nope, I am not.
Well, it was worth a shot.
And live from New York, it's Saturday!
But here's where it gets interesting. While Harris focused on building her brand, Trump honed in on the issues that mattered most to struggling Americans. Despite his controversial persona, Trump's message about the economy, border security, and American jobs struck a deep chord. Trump was able to shift the loyalties of the groups that wanted nothing to do with him in the 2020 election. Back then, Trump won 8% of the black voters and 32% of the Latino vote. But according to the polls, this time around, he won support from about 13% of black voters nationally and clinched 45% of Latino voters. It boils down to this: democracy is a luxury when you are hungry. While Kamala represented all the warm and fuzzy feelings with her rhetoric, Trump's focus was on the economy and immigration. This emphasis gained him a base with working-class voters, where Trump won blue-collar voters who lack college degrees 55%, 42%. From the beginning, Trump made it clear that he was going to revive the U.S. economy and extend policies like tax cuts, which he signed into law in 2017. His move to promote American-made products by increasing tariffs on imported goods is a welcomed move by people who want to see the U.S. economy become self-reliant. At the end of the day, what this has proved is that a policy that resonates with the people will always beat a good campaign. Arturo Munoz, a truck driver from Phoenix, spoke on behalf of a lot of Latino men and explained that Trump's promise to address high costs resonated with him, as he said he's felt a difference from how far his paycheck would stretch from 2016 to 2020 and during 2020 to 2024. These economic ideals are what have made a lot of immigrants ignore Trump's harmful rhetoric and focus on what he has to offer. Munoz explained why he stood by Trump, saying, "Hispanic and Latino men are very physically hardworking. Hispanic guys are busting their butt manually every day. The difference in pay, the difference in hours, the difference in cuts, the difference in providing for their families. I've seen it." In simple terms, many Americans believed that Trump's policies would create an economy where working hard would actually pay off. While Harris's campaign tried to appeal to the heart, Trump went straight for the wallet, winning over voters who felt they couldn't afford to ignore the economic promises he was making. Kamala Harris also faced an uphill battle trying to separate her campaign from the economic track record of the Biden administration. Inflation had surged to record levels, with consumer prices up by 19% over the last 4 years. Gasoline prices had skyrocketed, becoming a major point of frustration for millions. Harris's signature Medicare policy, aimed at easing financial burdens, was largely viewed as a cost-shifting move that would place much of the burden on taxpayers. The estimated $7 billion cost for taxpayers in 2025 was a bitter pill to swallow, especially as people struggled to keep up with rising costs in every area of life. This, of course, created the perfect storm for Trump's return. For many voters, it was a classic case of the grass is greener. Even those who didn't support him in 2020 now saw Trump as the devil they knew. Someone who, for all his flaws, had presided over an era of economic stability in his first term. Trump's conservative stance on issues like abortion and LGBTQ+ rights also won him considerable support among Christian voters, particularly evangelicals. His strong anti-abortion position resonated deeply with those who prioritize traditional Christian values. Harris, by contrast, leaned into progressive ideals, promising to restore Roe v. Wade and champion LGBTQ+ rights. While this won her the loyalty of many Democratic voters, it alienated others who felt more aligned with Trump's traditional values. Although his life may not be a clear reflection of this sentiment, Trump has openly spoken about how he is a devout Christian who follows a lot of Christian values. His policy positions on issues like marriage, family, and faith resonated with many Americans. According to Pew Research, around 64% of Americans identify as Christians, and the 2024 election results indicate that a large percentage of them stood with Trump. Even after the attempted assassination of his life, Trump was quoted saying, "I was knocked down by what seemed like a supernatural hand," Trump stated. "I'd like to think God saved me for a purpose, to make our country greater than ever." Trump's appeal didn't just reach conservative Christians. His persona struck a chord with young men who felt disconnected from Biden's leadership style, seeing him as too old and out of touch with their concerns. Trump's tough stance on immigration, his calls for stronger border security, and his commitment to law and order played well with young male voters who value stability and patriotism. His appearance on Joe Rogan's podcast, where he candidly discussed his beliefs and policies, further solidified his appeal to this demographic.
We had the greatest economy in history. Never has there been an economy like
And you
this.
attribute that to lowering taxes
Yeah, a lot
and
of
tariffs.
Two things. And also I cut regulations more than anybody else. And if I asked many of the businessmen, from the big companies, the guys running the big companies, I'd say, so if you had your choice, you've had it now for a long time, what's more important to you, the tax cuts, you paid less tax, or the regulation cuts? Every one of them said the regulation cuts meant more. Who would think that, right?
For many of these young men, Trump's hypermasculine image and unapologetically strong stance on national security weren't just refreshing, they were inspiring. Trump's rhetoric spoke to those who believed America should be resilient and self-sufficient. In a way, Trump's platform offered these voters a sense of purpose, a chance to be part of a movement dedicated to saving the country. So, what does this election tell us about the American electorate? It shows that in the end, voters prioritize policy over personality. They want a leader who delivers on the promises that matter most, like economic stability, jobs, and national security. The candidate who speaks well or avoids controversy doesn't necessarily capture the average American support. Trump may be one of the most polarizing figures in U.S. history, but to many, he represents the strength and tenacity they want in a leader. With a policy-driven victory, Donald Trump proved that he's still in sync with the values and goals of a significant portion of the American public. For voters who crave results, his unconventional approach wasn't a drawback, it was a strength. So whether you're thrilled, shocked, or somewhere in between, one thing is certain: Donald Trump's second term is already shaping up to be one for the history books.